Sophia was 26 years old. She worked as a senior marketing associate at one of the biggest real estate firms in the city. And when I say big, I mean the kind of company that owns half the skyscrapers you see on the skyline. Sophia had worked hard to get there. 2 degrees, 5 years of grinding, late nights, early mornings, coffee that tasted like regret. So by the time she made it to that corner office with a view, she believed she had earned the right to look down on others. And she did, a lot. Sophia was the kind of person who judged people by their shoes, their bags, their watches. If you weren't wearing a brand she recognized, you weren't worth her time. Her friends were the same way. They would meet for brunch and compete over who bought the more expensive jacket. They would laugh at people who took the bus. They would make fun of delivery drivers, waiters, janitors, anyone who wasn't climbing the same ladder they were on. Sophia never thought twice about it. To her, the world was simple. There were winners and losers, and she was clearly a winner. But here's the thing about winners. They often forget that the game can flip in a second. One evening, Sophia was leaving work late. It had been a terrible day. Her boss had rejected her campaign proposal. Her team had missed a deadline. And to make things worse, her heel had broken on her way out of the building. She was tired, angry, and looking for someone to blame. That's when she saw him. An old man sitting on the sidewalk just outside the office lobby. He was wearing a torn gray jacket. His shoes had holes in them. His beard was unkempt, and his hands were dirty. Next to him was a small paper cup with a few coins inside. He wasn't asking for money loudly. He wasn't bothering anyone. He was just sitting there, quiet, staring at the ground. Sophia stopped. Not because she felt pity, because she felt annoyed. She walked up to him and said, "Do you have to sit right here? Some of us actually work for a living." The old man looked up. His eyes were calm, not scared, not angry, just calm. He said, "I'm sorry, miss. I didn't mean to be in your way." But Sophia didn't stop. She had built up an entire day of frustration, and now she had found a target. She said, "You people are all the same. Begging instead of working. Get a job. Do something useful. Stop making the rest of us feel guilty because you made bad choices." She pulled out her wallet, took out a $5 bill, and threw it at his feet. "There, now leave. Go bother someone else." Then she turned around and walked away. She didn't look back. She didn't think about it for another second. She got in her car, drove home, ordered expensive takeout, and fell asleep watching a show about rich people buying islands. The next morning, Sophia woke up feeling good. Her proposal had been approved after all. Her boss sent her an email asking to meet at 10 a.m. She assumed it was a promotion. After all, she had been crushing her targets. She put on her best blazer, her most expensive watch. She practiced her confident smile in the mirror. She arrived at the office at 9:45. The receptionist looked nervous. That was strange. The receptionist was usually very calm. But today, her hands were shaking as she handed Sophia a visitor badge. Sophia said, "What's wrong?" The receptionist whispered, "The new CEO is here. He arrived early. He's been walking around the building all morning." Sophia had heard about the new CEO, a mysterious billionaire who had bought the company 6 months ago but had never shown his face. Nobody knew his name. Nobody had seen a picture. He communicated only through lawyers and emails. Some people thought he didn't exist. Others thought he was a myth, created by the board to scare employees into working harder. But now he was here, and Sophia was about to meet him. She walked into the conference room at exactly 10 a.m. The room was full. Her boss was there. The regional directors were there. Even the company's oldest vice president, a man who had survived 7 CEOs, was sitting in the corner, looking like he had just seen a ghost. And then Sophia saw him. Sitting at the head of the table was the old man from last night. The same torn jacket was gone. In its place was a tailored black suit that probably cost more than Sophia's car. His beard was trimmed. His hands were clean. But the eyes were the same, calm, deep, unforgettable. He looked at Sophia and smiled. Not a warm smile, a knowing one. He said, "Ah, the woman from the sidewalk. Please, have a seat." Sophia's stomach dropped. Her heart started beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. Her palms went sweaty. She wanted to run. She wanted to disappear, but her legs wouldn't move. She stood there frozen, like a rabbit staring at headlights. The CEO gestured to the empty chair right next to him. I said, "Have a seat." Sophia sat down. She couldn't look anyone in the eye. She could feel everyone staring at her. Her boss looked confused. The vice president raised an eyebrow. Nobody knew what was happening, except Sophia, and the man who now controlled her entire future. The CEO began the meeting like nothing had happened. He talked about quarterly earnings, expansion plans, new markets. But Sophia didn't hear a single word. Her brain was screaming. She kept thinking, he's going to fire me. He's going to humiliate me in front of everyone. He's going to tell them what I did. But the meeting ended, and he didn't say anything. Everybody stood up to leave. Sophia tried to slip out the back. That's when he said, "Sophia, stay. We need to talk." The room emptied. The door closed, and then it was just the two of them. The CEO leaned back in his chair. He looked at her for a long time. Silence. The kind of silence that feels like a weight on your chest. Finally, he spoke. "You threw money at me last night, like I was trash on the street." Sophia's voice cracked. "Sir, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I had a bad day, and I took it out on you, and I shouldn't have." He raised his hand. She stopped. He said, "Do you know why I sat outside that building last night?" She shook her head. He told her a story that nobody in the company knew. 20 years ago, he was homeless. Not the kind of homeless where you crash on a friend's couch for a week. The real kind. Sleeping under bridges, eating from dumpsters, wearing shoes held together with duct tape. He had lost everything in a bad business deal. His wife left him. His friends disappeared. He had no degree, no connections, no safety net. For 3 years, he lived on the streets. And in those 3 years, he learned something. He learned that people treat the homeless like furniture. They walk past you like you don't exist. Sometimes they spit. Sometimes they throw coins. Sometimes they take pictures. But almost never do they look you in the eye and ask, "Are you okay?" One night, he was sitting outside a restaurant, starving. A woman came out. She was well-dressed. Expensive coat. Diamond ring. She looked at him, and then she went back inside. He thought she was going to call the cops. Instead, she came back with a hot meal. A full plate. Chicken, rice, vegetables. She sat down next to him on the dirty sidewalk and said, "Eat. You look like you haven't had a real meal in weeks." He ate. And while he ate, she talked to him like he was a human being. She asked his name. She asked his story. She didn't give him advice. She didn't lecture him. She just listened. That woman changed his life. Not because she gave him food, but because she reminded him that he still had value, that he wasn't invisible, that one person seeing you can be enough to make you want to try again. A few weeks later, he got a job washing dishes. Then he became a cook. Then he saved money and started a small cleaning business. Then he expanded. Then he bought his first building. Then another. Then 100. 20 years later, he was a billionaire. And he never forgot the woman who sat with him on the sidewalk. He told Sophia, "I sit outside that building once every year, in the same dirty clothes, with the same paper cup, to see how people treat someone who has nothing. Most people ignore me. That's fine. Some people give me change. That's nice. But once in a while, someone like you comes along. Someone who looks at a poor person and feels disgust. Someone who thinks poverty is a choice. Someone who throws money like it's garbage." He paused. "You are the worst I've seen in 5 years." Sophia started crying. Not the pretty kind of crying. The ugly kind. Tears and snot and shaking shoulders. She begged. She pleaded. She said she would do anything. Donate her whole salary. Volunteer at shelters. Apologize on her knees. The CEO listened. Then he said something that hit her harder than any punishment could. "I'm not going to fire you." Sophia looked up, shocked. He said, "If I fire you, you'll just go work somewhere else. You'll tell yourself I was the bad guy. You'll learn nothing. No, you're going to stay. And you're going to keep your job. But here's what's going to change." He pulled out a piece of paper. On it was a list of every homeless shelter, food bank, and outreach program in the city. You're going to spend every Saturday for the next year working at one of these places. No pay, no publicity. Nobody in this company will know except me and you. You're going to serve food. You're going to clean floors. You're going to talk to people who have nothing. And at the end of the year, you're going to write me a 5-page letter about what you learned." Sophia nodded. She would have agreed to anything. But he wasn't done. He said, "Also, you're going to apologize to every single person in this building that you've looked down on. The janitors, the receptionist, the mailroom staff, every one of them. Not a group email, one by one, face to face. You're going to tell them you're sorry for acting like you. We're better than them." He stood up. He walked to the door. Then he turned around and said one last thing. "The woman who fed me that night? I found her 20 years later. She was old. She was living in a small apartment. She had no family left. I bought her a house. I paid for her medical bills until she died. And I visited her every week. Do you know what she said to me on her last day?" Sophia shook her head. She said, "The greatest gift you can give someone is not money. It's dignity." He opened the door. "See you Monday, Sophia." Sophia did everything he asked. The first few Saturdays were brutal. She didn't know how to talk to homeless people. She was scared and awkward and kept saying the wrong things. But slowly, something changed. She started to see faces instead of stereotypes. She met a man who used to be a teacher, a woman who lost her kids in a fire, a teenager who ran away from an abusive home. None of them chose to be where they were. Life just broke them in different ways. By the 6th month, Sophia had stopped seeing the homeless as a group. She saw individuals, each with their own story, each with their own pain, each still worthy of respect. She wrote her 5-page letter. It wasn't professional or polished. It was raw. She admitted that she had been shallow, ignorant, cruel. She admitted that she had used her job title like a weapon. She admitted that she had been the kind of person she herself would have hated if she had been born in different circumstances. The CEO read the letter. He didn't reply for 2 weeks. Sophia thought he had changed her mind. She thought he was going to fire her after all. Then one day, a package arrived at her desk. Inside was a book. The title was The Invisible Poor. On the first page, he had written, "Now you see them. Don't ever look away again." Sophia kept her job, but she was not the same person. She stopped buying expensive bags. She started eating lunch with the janitor. She became the first person in the company to volunteer for the annual homeless outreach program. And 5 years later, when the CEO retired, he personally recommended her for a leadership role. At his retirement party, she gave a speech. She didn't mention the sidewalk. She didn't mention the money she threw. She just said, "The most powerful person I ever met taught me that power is not about how high you climb. It's about how low you're willing to stoop to lift someone else up." The CEO smiled. And for the first time since that terrible night, Sophia smiled back. Not because she was proud, but because she was grateful.